Hi, Nikhil.
Hey Dean, how are you?
Good, thank you. I'll tell you what, to get started, tell folks a little bit about you.
All right. My name is Nikhil Hunshikatti. I'm a fractional CMO, and I've been in this business for about a year. I bring about 20 plus years of experience driving data-driven change and helping organizations essentially tap into their growth potential at the intersection of data, product experience elevation, and customer lifecycle management.
All right. So tell me, what's a fractional CMO?
So, the way I see it, a fractional CMO is someone who brings their professional experience, their expertise, and deep rooted knowledge in areas that are going to drive growth for a business. And thinking full funnel is probably the most important aspect of it.
Okay. So let's talk about, thank you. Let's talk about a hypothetical. Okay. You've just signed a new client for a 1 year engagement, like relatively long engagement for a fractional CMO. Today's day one
Mhm.
of actually starting work. What does the first 3 months look like generally?
Great question. And most fractional CMOs will probably have their own process, right? The way I think about it is almost like a five-step process, and I'm going to break it down into the 1 to 30s, 30 to 60s in a little bit.
Mhm.
But truly, it starts with establishing clarity of vision and objective. Second is focus on understanding and deeply navigating what the current state looks like. And by current state, I mean what are the KPIs within the marketing organization? What are the capabilities that they have?
Mhm.
What are the resources? What are the functional areas that they're focused on? And most importantly, what's the MarTech capability? So that's two. Three is you definitely, as a fractional CMO, because you have a limited bandwidth, definitely need to focus a lot on understanding the customer. So internal customers and external customers have have conversations with them, do discovery exercises with them, focus on those key insights that sometimes because you miss those in the business as usual in a business as usual mode. Fourth is determining gaps, right? And gaps could be
Right.
functional, skill based, tech based, cultural, or even experiential. And finally, number five is build out what that roadmap looks like. And I like to refer it in the form of a grade. It's level of effort versus level of impact. And you classify those roadmap items into what I would like to say must do's, quick wins, your roadmap development work, and finally, what's a long shot? What's that? What are those big bets you want to take
Right.
that's going to drive long term implication? And again, I don't want to take a lot of time, but those break down into the day 1 to 30, which is a lot more focused on the audit
Right.
part of the equation. Day 31 to 60 is you start mapping out what that roadmap is. Day 61 to 90 is when you start executing and driving quick wins.
Making a note.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Yes. Okay, that's awesome. So, Sarah, hi.
Hi.
Um, Sarah, tell folks a little bit about you, and then tell me what the first 90 days looked like when you started engagement.
Of course. So my name is Sara. I am the COO at Duct Tape Marketing and also serve as fractional CMO to
Mhm.
some of our clients. I've been with Duct Tape Marketing for 14 years now, and I also have the opportunity where we are certifying and training other fractional CMOs in the space
Right.
to help build, grow, and scale profitable businesses. I'm absolutely passionate about marketing strategy. I could talk about it all day, and that's actually what leads me to your question that you just asked. Really, in the first 90 days, when we're coming in with a business in the fractional CMO model, we're always starting with strategy before we move into any sort of execution. So we spend the initial like 30 to 45 days with our clients going through our system for strategy. And so it starts with an audit of their current marketing and branding. Then it goes into customer client interviews. It goes into competitive research. We then map out customer journey. We map out growth priorities, content strategy, and we put it all into an execution calendar and plan. And so that's what we're doing over the initial like 30 to 45 days. And then after that, oftentimes we're bringing team in to actually execute the plan, either our team or we're getting their team up to speed for our clients.
Right.
And after the initial strategy, we're often laying the foundation for marketing or fixing a lot of the marketing or optimizing a lot of the marketing. And so that's what I think of for the first 90 days. It's that strategy and then that optimization. And then after that, we can get a lot more creative with our marketing efforts from there.
So in that case, Sarah, imagine that I'm the CEO of this client, okay? You're the first fractional CMO I've ever hired. What do I do wrong where I end up wasting the money that I spent?
Bringing in the wrong fractional CMO that's going to just dive into execution
Right.
is the first step. But a lot of times where I see, like, if you're the CEO of a business and maybe you've been holding on to some of the marketing and you're still just trying to delegate to the fractional CMO, that's another area that I see miss. Another area might be if there's lack of communication between the CEO and the fractional CMO. And so you really have to be clear and aligned on business objectives and how the marketing goals and objectives are aligned with the overall business strategy and plan. And so it's a lot of open communication. It's a lot of trust. And it's a lot of collaboration. Working together is where you can be the most successful versus missing the mark.
Right. Okay. Hey, so Nikhil, let's talk about that sort of strategy planning, but implementation aspect of it. So there's likely one or more marketing staffers already at the company, right? There's like a team, there's a department of marketing, right? If I'm CEO and sort of bringing in a fractional CMO and for like a year, how is that team, you think, going to be different or better at the end of those 12 months than they are on day one when you show up?
Great question. Thank you, Dean. And that's one of the questions that get asked all the time, right? When you're kind of working with these business partners, business owners, etc. One, most importantly, what I bring as a fractional CMO, or what anybody brings as a fractional CMO, is that deep-rooted expertise and understanding of what stones to unturn, right? Because you've been there, done that. It starts with establishing clarity of vision and strategic leadership. For the most part, most organizations that are looking for a fractional CMO essentially have, as was mentioned earlier, disjointed and siloed efforts in the marketing space. And to a large extent, it's probably the COO or the CEO who's driving that effort, and they don't have the expertise. So what a marketing leader brings to the table is that strategic leadership, it's deep-rooted experience. It's also mentoring of the organization itself, is allowing, because end of the day, I'm coming in as a fractional. My intent is not to stay on with the organization for the long term.
Right.
It's about developing and growing that team, mentoring the individuals within that organization to elevate their skill sets, their capabilities, and provide them with a playbook that allows them to sustain a growth trajectory for the long term.
Hey, so Sarah, I want to invert that question then. How does a marketing team end up worse off at the end of 12 months with a fractional CMO? Like, how bad does it have to go?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that can go wrong in bringing in an outside member into a team. I mean, you have to make sure that cultural alignment is there, that everyone's working towards common goals. You have to be like, the team that's already in the business has to be accepting of the fractional coming in and willing to put in place what that fractional is recommending. So the internal team also has to be willing to put in the work. And so when we're in the fractional CMO role for our clients, we're creating the strategy and plan. But if the internal team's not going to execute the plan, nothing's going to get done. So it really is important to establish a great relationship from the very beginning with the internal team, and establishing the point that you're there to help guide them and there to help guide the business, and you're all working towards similar goals. And it's really important to establish that relationship and trust very early on, or work won't get done, or the business won't be in a better place
Right.
throughout the engagement.
All right.
Can I add quickly one small
sure.
point? I think that the other key difference, and I agree with everything Sarah just said, one additional point I would like to make is, as fractional CMO, I'm not a consultant. I'm there to be part of the team, to be part of the leadership team, to lead the marketing organization and own those KPIs, own the results and the outcomes. I need to have skin in the game, because that's what's going to reflect on the rest of the organization. And they see that this guy is not just an outsider giving us guidance. He's part of the process, or he or she is part of the process, and they own the results. I think that's a critical factor in driving success.
Well, makes sense. Okay, so Sarah, I want to give you a hypothetical. So your mom says, "Hey, my best friend, her youngest, finally graduated, just started their first job, full-time career in marketing. Want to know if you had any advice. What would you tell that person?"
First time getting started, I would tell that person that marketing is very quickly evolving, and it's really important to be an eager learner in the space, and willing to put the work in. I would also tell that person that where a lot of people miss in marketing, I've seen it so many times over the years, is they just get like good or focused on one specific tactic, but they're not able to take a step back and look at what are we actually trying to do, who's our target audience, what message aligns with them, what does our customer journey look like, what should we be producing from a content perspective. And so they'll just go in on like these lower level tactics and end up wasting time, energy, and money on those things. And so those are the two bigger pieces that I would probably encourage. And then the third actually would be like the metrics are key. You have to be tracking, you have to be paying attention to the data. And so, if someone's just getting started in the marketing space, it's think strategically about what you're doing, continue to grow and learn every single day, and then go all in on data and metrics, because that's going to drive your marketing moving forward.
So, Nikhil, thank you, sir. That was excellent. Nikhil, I want to ask you a variation of the same question. Okay, there's been some sort of like weird split in space time, and you've got a minute to talk to the 23-year-old version of you who just graduated and is starting their career in marketing. You've got a minute to give the earlier version of yourself advice. What is it?
My biggest advice is test, 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 test and fail, learn, because marketing is all about experimentation.
Right.
And the more risks and the more experimentation that you do on the front end, the faster your learning curve, because that's what, end of the day, you need to be running at least 10 plus experiments at any given time, because it's those one or two that's going to drive your hockey stick. The rest are going to fail, but you're going to learn from them.
All right. That's good. I like that. Okay, so Sarah, I'm going to be blunt here. I'm not trying to insult anybody. There are easier ways to make a living. Why this job?
I love marketing for a couple different reasons. Well, we work in the small business space at Duct Tape Marketing. We always have. And so I love working with people that have a great company, a great vision. They're making an impact in the world, but their struggle is getting that message out there. And so I'm able to make an impact in the marketing through the work they're doing by getting their message out there. So I absolutely love that piece. And I am a lifelong learner. I'm always listening to like multiple books. I just love it. And that's one of the pieces in marketing. Stuff is changing so rapidly that I learn new things every day still after doing this for 14 years at this point.
And Nikhil, how about you? Why this job, man? Why?
I love breaking things, especially in spaces that, and to Sarah's point, right, where the need arises is when things have been running on status quo for the longest time, and you need someone to come in and be the change agent. And that solving that problem is really what gets me going. I'd love to play in that space, specifically organizations that have reached a point of stagnation, and they're looking for that change agent, that impetus to truly amp up their growth trajectory. So solving those problems, owning the outcomes is really what drives me. So that's kind of what I would say.
All right. Okay, so this is episode 86, I think, and so in season 4, and in season 4 we've added a wildcard question that we didn't have before. And so here's the wildcard question, and I don't know the wildcard question. It's part of why it's wildcard. Is Sarah, what question would you ask Nikhil, either as like a fellow fractional CMO or the guest on this podcast, or like what's a question you would ask? And Nikhil, you're going to ask Sara one question as well. Anything?
Awesome. My question would be, because it's something I've been diving into a lot, is what are your thoughts on the impact of AI in marketing?
Oh, wow. That's a great question.
Had to go there.
I'll be direct and honest. I don't know. It's way too early to tell. There's way too much noise out there. But I will reference this. This is one of my favorite quotes, and then I'll get to my answer. My favorite quote right now, or rather a reference point, is Ernest Hemingway was known to say, "Hey, I love to write when I'm drunk, but I edit when I'm sober."
No.
Right? My context to that is write AI or create AI, edit human. Right?
I love it.
So the point being, AI is a tool. It's a technology. We need to, as marketers, we need to adopt it and apply it for solving our business problems versus creating a problem by kind of putting the cart before the horse. So AI can be a great application. It has multiple use cases. As long as you are able to define the problem and use AI to solve those problems, I think that's really the process to follow.
Great answer.
By the way, you're the first, Sara. You're the first person to ever mention AI when asking a question, and that's
really,
yeah. And I mean, it's
wow.
been what? It's been
86 episodes in.
86, yeah.
Mark that one.
No, I was counting the people. It's 25 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, Nikhil, what's your question?
My question is, Sara, you have some much deeper experience than I do in the fractional space. How do you manage? I mean, what's the right formula? How many clients at the same time? What's the commitment? How do you manage context switching? I know there's probably more than one question there, but how do you find the balance?
So we are a little bit unique than your traditional fractional CMO business. We call ourselves a fractional CMO agency is how we work. And so when we come in and work with clients, you still get that fractional CMO, but then we also bring in lead consultants and account managers and implementers as well. And so a lot of what we're teaching in our model is how to be able to scale a fractional CMO business versus just trading your time for money. So with that being said, a lot of times when we're working with clients in the fractional CMO model, we're doing that deep dive on strategy. We're meeting with them weekly, but then we have our team to support us. And so we're able to work with a higher volume of clients than your traditional fractional CMO model. I think with the traditional fractional CMO model, you're probably capped on, just depending on what you're doing, 4 or 5 clients if you're trading your time. But for us, we can handle a higher volume because we have the team to support in the engagement.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course.
All right. So, Sara, these days, who should contact you and how do you want them to do it?
So anyone that's looking for either certification in the fractional CMO approach or looking to hire more of a fractional CMO agency, we've been in business for 30 years now. We've worked in a range of industries, but always in that small business space. That's who we're passionate about. They can find us online at dtm.world/growth. We have a great library of free resources there that you're able to grab and learn more about duct tape marketing.
All right. And Nikhil, how about you? Who should contact you these days and how do you want them to do it?
LinkedIn. Sure. Businesses that have been around for 7 to 10 years, have reached a point of stagnation, probably are in the 30 to $50 million in annual recurring revenue, but are looking to seriously scale. So they can find me on LinkedIn, Nikhil Hunshikatti, or on yourcmo.com/Nikhil Hunshikatti.
Oh, you're one of the Your CMO people. That's right. I know some. I talked to someone yesterday. I know some people from that company. Okay, well, guys, this has been fantastic. Thanks very much, and thanks for the wildcard questions. I think they might be the best yet. I really like those.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so that's it for today. Thanks very much for watching this. You probably saw this in a clip if you're like 99.7% of everyone else who watches. And so we're very happy to have you these few seconds. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks everyone, and goodbye.